Okay, here's a real jam.
The time at the end.
Hey, it's Bigsby Day. Check the Instagram.
Hey.
Awesome.
Awesome. What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to another Guitareo live lesson. Today
we're talking about something a little bit different than the past few weeks because we've had a lot of guests out and a lot of kind of more intermediate / advanced type lessons. So we're going to be talking about 5 top beginner guitar mistakes, or just 5 not necessarily beginner, 5 top guitar mistakes.
Yeah.
But there's a twist. Andrew scheduled this lesson, and I was like, okay, you come up with 5, and I'll come up with 5, and we won't tell each other where they are. And we'll see if they overlap, because we have different perspectives, right? I'm a lot older than Andrew. He's into different styles of music.
For sure.
Lots of different just takes on playing in general.
Yeah.
So I think with both perspectives, you're going to get a lot of valuable information. And mine is half a list, half of my 5, or
So
2/5
2.5
of my
of them.
5s. Yes, are just experience being around a lot of newer players, either selling guitars or teaching, and the other 2.5% or 2.5, you know what I'm talking about, 50%. Is just me scolding myself.
I love it.
For things that I'm like, oh, if I would have done this better over the years, I would be a much better player than I am now.
Man, I would have the longest list of all time if I did that, which I didn't. What I based mine on was I used to do a lot of the emails that you guys would send in, a lot of support stuff, kind of when I first started doing this kind of stuff. And I based it a lot on what I was seeing there.
That's very predictable, believe it or not.
It is pretty.
So if you're having trouble with something, don't feel like you're the only one out there.
Oh, no, there's always people.
Yeah.
There's always people. I will mention that you can download the PDF and you can cheat right away if you want and just see all of them, or you can wait and be surprised, as we will both be surprised by one another. There may be some overlap. Who knows?
Probably.
Who knows? And this is also a great opportunity just to get questions in. We'll probably move through this relatively quick. So if you do have any questions, whether it be beginner-based, whether it be about anything, be sure to send those in. Those of you guys who are members, the members tab below the video, click on that, type in your question, send it off, and we'll get it.
What was I going to say to you? Oh, mine are in reverse order, just so you know, on the PDF. 1, it starts with 1 and goes to 5, but my number 1 is number 5.
Oh, like the most important?
Yeah, the most important one, in my opinion, but we'll get to that. And
Okay.
I'll let you know as we
Mine aren't ranked. Mine are just, these are 5.
Mine aren't necessarily ranked.
Okay, cool. Well, how are we gonna do this? We didn't talk
You
about
go first. We'll just alternate.
We'll
One,
alternate?
one,
Okay,
2, 2.
great. I'll make mine small so you can't see over here.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't looked at Andrew's at all.
Okay, I think this is an important one. So number 1 is people always tell me my hands are too big, my hands are too small, and when your hands are the right size, they're either too big or they're too small, right? It's like always the other guy's hands are the perfect size. This is a complete and total lie, unless maybe you've lost parts of your fingers completely, which I know there are people out there who have that, then that's tough. But your hands, no matter what size they are, you can play guitar. You can play chords, you can play solos, you can do it. There's, who's a great guy? Johnny Highland. Do you know Johnny Highland?
He has small hands, yeah.
He has small hands.
Small, chubby hands.
Small, chubby hands, yeah.
Tony Iommi's missing some tips.
Hey, yeah, he's got little fake fingertips, right? Yeah. So that's my number one is don't think that your hands are too big or too small.
My number one is using all downstrokes and having a stiff arm. I see this like almost every time somebody, I would say probably 80% of the time somebody sits down and I can tell they've just been playing for like a few days or a few weeks or maybe a month. Yeah. They'll do this. Right, or this when they're picking single notes. And I'm not making fun of you, I'm just observing. I'm sure I did the same thing when I was just starting out. But locking your wrist and doing all downstrokes it's going to hold you back for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you're going to overdevelop your downstrokes in relation to your upstrokes. So when you start trying to do some more advanced stuff and getting some upstrokes together, it's going to seem really difficult. Like I just can't do it. I just can't get it. So at the very least, make sure you're starting to at least try to do some upstrokes in addition to your downstrokes, whether it's strumming or doing single notes. Right? I will tune that in a minute. There, how's that? It's probably easier on the ears. But yeah, make sure to get your upstrokes in there whether you're picking single notes or strumming. Also, don't lock your wrist and just strum like this. Relax and just pretend like you're flicking something off your hand. Right? That's a really good motion to keep in mind. Not only for strumming, but a smaller version of that for picking too. That'll help you get a lot farther, a lot faster when you get to some more advanced strumming, some more advanced picking stuff.
And give them the honey and
feather. Oh, Beppe Gambetta, one of my favorite guitar players. I was at a clinic. He said, pretend like you have some honey stuck on your finger and there's a feather stuck to the honey. And you just try to flick it off. Because when you're flicking, like my pick's about to fly out of my fingers because I'm relaxed. When you flick something, you're like, ooh, it takes a whipping motion.
Yeah.
And that's an exaggeration, but it is true.
And the one thing that's cool is when you start getting those upstrokes and downstrokes together nice and loose, you basically become your own metronome. And it makes it a lot easier to play those complex strumming patterns because you employ things like the constant strumming technique, which obviously is so important. And doing this, rather than trying to go hit at the right time, all down, if you're doing this the whole time, you're keeping your own time. And it helps you to be a lot more accurate with your timing.
Cool.
Okay, so number two, and this is one that I see all the time, is not having a well set up guitar. This might not be the most important because if you want to play guitar, you can learn on any guitar, even if it is poorly set up. But a lot of people, they don't even know how to tell if their guitar is poorly set up. It's like,
oh, it must be supposed to play bad.
Exactly. And yes, bar chords, you have to push very hard. I know, very hard. But a lot of times the strings are way too far off the fretboard, way too far. And I know I've had friends who started playing guitar and I would kind of come over to their place and they'd be like, oh, play something cool. And so I'd grab the guitar and I'd be like, you're learning on this thing?
How?
Like, how the heck are you doing that? Let me take it home with me and I'll bring it back for you. And that's something that is so important. And whether it's taking it into a pro, like any guitar shop, local guitar shop would do it for you. They charge you about $50 usually, I think is what you can expect. Or you can learn how to do those kind of things yourself. With acoustic guitar, it's a little bit tougher because when you're lowering the action back here, you actually have to sand the saddle. But you can adjust the truss rod and things like that. But again, if you are going to learn how to do it yourself, do lots of research and be very careful because you can wreck your guitar.
I think my favorite book for electric guitar setup is Make Your Electric Guitar Play Great by Dan Earlywine.
Is that just a book?
And it's like a smaller condensed version of the Ultimate Guitar Setup Guide or whatever it is, that huge one. It's like a really condensed, easy to use version of that.
Cool. And one other thing I will just add to that is if you do want to start getting into setting up your own guitars, learn to do it by feel. Don't get too crazy with measurements. People, I know a lot of pros, they use the measurements and stuff, but they're doing it for a lot of different people. If you're doing it for yourself, do your setup and feel the little adjustments. What do they do and what do I not like? When I bend, it makes this weird shaking sound. So how do I fix that, right?
The only time I use a gauge or a ruler or something is like if something is wrong, I'm like, okay, am I going crazy? I just need to verify if I'm losing my mind or not because I'm pretty particular.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you definitely can go the completely measured out way of doing it. I found that my guitars always end up just perfect for me because everyone is slightly different, and I just set it up for what feels good.
It changes from guitar to guitar big time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, you're next.
Number 2, not learning the notes on the guitar dead cold. And I'm guilty of this one. That's why it's on.
Yep.
That's why it's, well, it should probably actually be number 2 on the bottom of the list because mine's backwards, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not learning, this is probably one of my biggest regrets on the guitar. I've been playing, good Lord, hold on. I'm 37. I've been playing for almost 25 years.
Ooh. I'm
And I didn't
25, Nate. I'm 25.
Yeah, I know. I've been playing guitar as long as Andrew's been alive. But I didn't really learn the notes on the fretboard till, like, really well until probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm like, I'm such an idiot. This is like opening new gateways and doorways for playing and improvising and just showing up to a gig and maybe not even knowing the tune, just knowing what key it's in and being able to play along or play exactly, like if I know that, for example, if there's a G chord being played, I didn't know that this was a G note for a long time. I would have to be like, frick, E, F,
Count up,
G.
yeah.
But just knowing that that's a G, it's great, man. It can really free you up. So I would recommend that. Learn all the notes on fretboard cold. And it doesn't take much. If you set aside 2-3 months and really drill the notes for 5-10 minutes every day, you'll have it.
Yeah, that's great. That's something I definitely have slacked on a little bit. And we've actually been talking about this lots in the forums. And I think it was Les Johnson just posted a video from someone this morning.
Oh, it did
or
see
maybe
his
last
post a
night.
couple days ago, yeah.
And it was about using the circle of fourths to navigate the fretboard. So it's very interesting. It's really cool. It's a good video. It's worth watching. So for those of you guys who are members, jump onto the forums and read through that and let's watch the video. It's
I'll
worth
have to do it.
It's worth it. Okay, number three. Okay. This is a pretty, no, this isn't a funny one. You think I'm gonna say something funny. I'm not gonna say something funny. I may have a funny one, but not having a consistent practice schedule.
Yeah.
Consistent. So, and I am also somebody who's very guilty of this. Thankfully, I kind of did it the right way, but there's a way to do it the wrong way. And what that is a lot of people, you'll find, they'll pick up their guitar and they'll get really hyped and inspired. And it's like, man, I'm gonna play every day. And even when it hurts, I'm gonna play for 4 hours. So you'll play 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. And then you're like, oh, I'm actually gonna go play video games for a while. And then all of a sudden a week goes by, you don't touch your guitar, and then you're like, shoot.
Kiss of death.
And then you play the next day for 8 hours, and then you're like, oh, well now I'm sore and sick of the guitar, so then you don't play for 2 months. So consistent, short, nice, focused practice time.
I literally have a whiteboard at home, and the only thing on there that is never erased is
Yes.
the word consistency.
Oh, love it.
Sometimes I ignore it, but
No,
it's up there for a reason.
it's such an important part of learning, man. Honestly, like even 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day is better than 4 hours once a week. It honestly is. Even though I'm guilty of that sometimes, consistency.
Cool.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. No matching one so far. We're doing pretty
No,
good.
we're doing great. I love it.
Apparently, we disagree on the top 5. Number 3 for me is depending on your gear to make you better.
Oh, 2. That's a good one.
And me and Andrew are both guilty of this. I know we are. Because I am a guitar whore.
Yeah.
I've had probably 45, 50 guitars in my life.
That's a lot.
And I only own 10 right now. So I've gone through quite a few of them. And I wish probably just about all of them I wish I still had.
Right?
Because I thought, I was like, oh, this isn't just my sound. It isn't the feel that I need to get better. It isn't, the feel that's going to make me comfortable playing the guitar. That's BS.
You almost feel like getting that new expensive shiny thing is gonna like be the key to unlock, like get you past that plateau, you know?
Exactly. Or it's going to find my tone that I have, which is cool. I like it in regard to that is it's a hobby within a hobby, right?
Sure.
I really like that aspect of it. But there's no guitar. And it may inspire you for a week or maybe a month if you're lucky to play more. But it'll fade, and then you'll be stuck in a position where you're like, okay, the only thing that's going to get me through this is consistency and powering through this and really focusing on some other things, like some of my other points that I have.
I love and think it's so important to remember that we're playing music. As much as the tools are a lot of fun, like what are we building with the tools, right? And we're building music. So try and remember that, like even on a cheap guitar, there's been the best music of all time a lot of it's been made on cheap gear.
Yep.
So just always remember that. That's a good one. I like
This
that.
is the cheapest guitar that I own, and I've been playing it more than any
Play it
of the
all
other
the time.
ones.
And I had one of these, okay? I had one of these in grade 12, and I sold it, and Nate's been busting it out lately, and I'm like, I wish I didn't sell it.
No, I bought this for $450 Canadian. That's like $375 US used at a music store.
You'll find them all the time. Guitar Center used stuff or reverb.com. If you don't know, reverb.com or Craigslist is always a good place to find guitars.
It's like the Facebook equivalent of gear for wasting your time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's worse for me, man. Oh, it's bad. Go down some good rabbit trails. Okay, want to make sure I'm not, okay. Okay, so this is my fourth one. Trying to do too many things at once. And I think that there is some good importance in variety and diversifying and not getting bored with one thing. But sometimes you're just like a dog chasing a squirrel. Do you know what I mean?
Squirrel.
Like, it's just, yeah. It's just like, oh, I'm going to start, I decided I wanted to learn this song. So start learning this song. And then it's like, oh man, it's getting hard. So now I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And it's like, you know what? I kind of want to practice playing the drums. And it's like, all of a sudden you're all over the place, right? And so just too many things at once. And this goes, I mean, just in life in general too, right? It's easy to get too many hobbies and stuff like this. I always talk with I'm going to throw my other guitar player from my band under the bus. This is bad. He has so many hobbies. And I tell him all the time, man, you're a great guitar player. Sit and practice a little bit every day and you just be killing it. And he's like, no, I want a mountain bike and canoe. And it's like, I get it and that's great. But when you're trying to progress on the guitar, just try not to have too many distractions.
That's fair enough. I find in my critical mass for like actual things that I want to accomplish on the guitar is 4.
That's
three,
good.
3 is ideal. 4 is like, okay, I can juggle this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Actually, you put together that practice routine generator.
Yep.
Was that what it was?
Yep.
And one of the things that I thought was so cool from that is you would pick one thing from, like, you would categorize the things, and then you just pick one thing from each when you're practicing in a day. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was really cool.
Okay, number 4, for me, isn't tied for first place for number 1.
Okay.
That's not applying what you're working on to music. And I still do this, and I did it for a long time, and I find that the best time, or the times to make the most progress on the guitar, is when I have a specific goal that I'm working towards in a musical context, like writing a song that I can't play, and learning it and recording it, learning a song that I can't play, and learning it and making a video of it, or like I've been working on a lot of more jazzy chords this week. And I just recorded a song for that. I was like, hey, I use these chords now. I've known these chords for a long time, but I couldn't really use them because I didn't have the voicing to where I could go right to them. But now I have them. But so applying them to an actual song helped me like get them under my fingers. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You can do this any way you want. You can do it through jam tracks, jamming with your friends, jamming with the band, cover band, learning new tunes, anything you want. But make sure there's a purpose behind what you're learning. Otherwise, if you're just sitting there working on your G chord all day or a G major scale, nobody wants to hear that.
And you're going to get probably bored of it pretty quick. There is no greater feeling than playing music with other musicians or in just a musical context. There's nothing better.
Yep.
Okay, so for my 5th or first, however you want to put it, this is, I would say, we'll call it my top 1, my number 1. And that's thinking that everybody learns at the same pace. So what I find a lot is people saying, how long does it take me to master the guitar? How long does it take me to be perfect at the guitar? How long does it take me to learn chords? How long does it this, right? It's different for every single person, and they think that you can put a time on it, and if your friend who's also learning the guitar is learning faster than you, oh, well then guitar's just not for me, and I'm gonna put it down, and I'm gonna try something else, right? Like we like to do the things we're good at. So I get it, but you just gotta remember everyone learns and does things at very different paces. I had a friend growing up, and he practiced. My problem was I didn't practice until really late, and I wish I practiced earlier, but he practiced all the time. He was like the practice guy, and he was the guitar player in my high school growing up, like all through school. And once he graduated, it was like the consistent practice, and then I started actually practicing, and it's like, oh, I learned faster than him, and I accelerated faster than him, and then he just quit, because he felt like it was like, we had a weird kind of competitive thing going on. It wasn't healthy. But for him, he was just like, oh, well, it's not worth it for me, so this will always just be a hobby. He didn't quit guitar, but he never really pursued it, and he could have. He could have. And so just always remember that everybody learns at a different pace.
I would say that in a different way, just don't compare yourself to other people. And I have a problem with that because like I'm out there like getting sniped at all the time.
Oh yeah.
So all I can do is try to do better than I did yesterday and be consistent with my practice. And that's who you're comparing to yourself to is who you were yesterday.
Yes.
I can't compare myself to Andrew or anybody else out there on YouTube as long as I'm being consistent with my practice and trying to progress.
Absolutely.
Same thing for everyone out there. So.
Yeah. Just always remember that the musical journey, it's not a competition. It's about your own personal journey or the music you're making with other people collaboratively. It's a building up process, right?
I mean, to a salute to somebody, Tom Petty.
Yeah.
You don't listen to his music. It's not super complex, but man, what great songs.
Oh, yeah. Man, he was great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's too bad.
Cool. Number 1/number 5 for me, what is it? Not setting specific goals in your playing. This, like every time somebody emails me, it's like, Nate, I'm trying to do this, but I just can't do it, or I don't know what to practice next. Have you set specific goals for your playing? Oh, no, I didn't think about that. And they're like, oh, so you're telling me it's like everything else in life? I'm like, yep. And it's true. If, like, for example, I wanted to learn this past week, and I might butcher this, that's okay. I wanted to learn that major 7 voicing.
Cool.
Minor 7.
Right.
Minor. Another major, dominant. All it is a variation on this major 7 chord. But I'd never seen that voicing before. So it's like, okay, in the next few weeks, which was like a few weeks ago, I'm gonna get these down so I can play them, play a chord scale through them.
Right.
And that was like one of my mini goals, right? So if you don't set goals for yourself, it's gonna be really tough to have motivation practice and know what to practice.
Yeah.
And I ended up using some of those voicings in a new tune.
Yeah, which is so cool. And actually, I may have gleaned a couple voicings before this lesson.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. And just to add to that, one thing I would also recommend is make sure you do set smaller achievable goals as well. Even if you have huge goals are great, but try and set like ones where it's like, oh, well, I know I can definitely do this. Because it helps.
It'll encourage you instead of like, I have an album that I want to finish. I know it's about a year off.
Yeah.
But I know that I want to finish at least one more tune before the end of this year, like recorded, ready to go.
Great.
Everything. And I know in order to do that, I'm going to have to do a lot of work on some arpeggios and some sweeping stuff.
Right.
So.
Oh, you're writing outside of your ability.
Oh, 100%.
I love that. Yeah. That's cool.
There's no way I can play it.
That's something I've never done, but I aspire to do something like that one day. I think it's very cool. Okay, that's all of them. That's all of them, right?
That's it for me.
That's all 5.
And we didn't overlap at all, which is pretty flippin' amazing.
I tried my best because I was trying to think. It's like,
anticipate?
Okay, I've seen Nate talk about mistakes in videos before, so I want to make sure I don't get the exact same ones, but it ended up working out. It was perfect.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's really good. Okay, well, we'll jump into questions. It looks like there's only one question in there right now. If you guys do have questions, make sure you submit them. Otherwise,
Could be on anything.
Yeah, it can be about anything, for sure. Whatever you guys want
know, we have, I'm just going to, while you're pulling the questions.
Yeah,
up,
please.
We have a couple of more guests coming out in November. Like, mine's going to be blown, just like when Don Ross was here, so that's going to be fun for you. We also have a couple other new things coming down the pipe for you. We're going to start doing Chord of the Week videos. I'm learning a lot of new voicings for chords now. I was like, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And those will be just public YouTube videos. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be sweet. They'll be nice little bite-sized, very
like
short little
2
videos.
minutes long. So you wake up Monday morning, oh, I get to learn a new chord today.
Learn a new chord. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. And for those of you guys who missed Don Ross's lesson last week, the Fretboard Chronicles, go into the archives and watch it.
It was very inspiring.
It's very inspiring. Okay.
It was neat to see somebody of that caliber do that up close and in person. It was crazy.
I know. I honestly felt like we were at a concert.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. This is a beefy question, so we'll see if I can get through it without stumbling. This is from David L. I'm on an acoustic, so posture, what's the best way to sit? I keep catching my elbow resting on my leg. How high do I hold the guitar? We're going to go through piece by piece, because I think if I read it all out at once, it's going to be brutal. Okay, so he's on an acoustic. Posture, what's the best way to sit holding an acoustic guitar?
It depends on a lot of things. It depends on how big you are, what size guitar you have, what you're comfortable with. like a lot of times, like my ideal posture if my back wasn't messed up,
Yes.
would be my guitar hanging from a strap right about here, sitting
Nice.
up straight. Try that with a strap on. If it doesn't work for you, if you can't do it, try some other things. Like I guarantee you, if you're having trouble putting your elbow on your knee, you're just like me because I play casual style a lot, and I always catch myself doing that. It's like, why can't I? Oh yeah. So just being aware of it, number one. If you really like the casual method, that's fine. One thing you want to try if you are stuck with this, I always have a footstool on my foot that lifts it up. So normally it'd be down here, lifts it up a little bit higher here. So that helps keep my elbow off of my knee. Classical method. This is really good too, but I despise it just because my back.
And you're putting your left foot then?
Left foot on a footstool. Yep.
Yeah.
Then just standing up with the strap.
Yeah. It seems like the important part being posture with your back to get yourself in a good position. And obviously bringing that left elbow in to your body like you always talk about.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna keep moving through this question. So, how high to hold the guitar? This is kind of what we were just talking about there.
This is really debatable, and there's people that will, obliterate me for saying this, but I think you should have your guitar about the same height you would when you're sitting down. If you sit down and you practice, you should have your guitar about the same height that you would if you're standing up. So, my guitar would be right here, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Some people, they find it a lot easier when it's like nipple riding, I like to call it, nipple riding.
Yep.
When it's nice and up high. A lot of people like that. I find it's harder on your strumming arm. It's easier on this, harder on this because of kind of how you're doing it. So I always try and adjust my guitar. I'm also trying to look cool on stage when I'm playing guitar standing.
I don't care about looking cool.
So for me, I've kind of found there's like a happy medium where it's like, oh, this is like the natural spot where my hand rests on the bridge of the guitar, this hand.
That's one thing I do like about having my guitar lower is like, ideally, if my arm's straight, it feels really good, just like palm muting power chords. Right?
Totally.
It feels great.
Totally, but as soon as you get into more technical stuff, obviously it gets more challenging.
Yeah.
So I always find there's like a happy medium between too low, and it's not lower the cooler you look, by the way, guys. It's not, you can go too low.
That only goes to a certain point.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
I don't know how Petrelli does it. He's by his knees.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, people who do that. It's ridiculous. But usually I like to think like, put it on your hip is usually a nice, easy spot where you're relaxed and comfortable.
I like the way Guthrie Govan does it. The horn of his like Strat type guitar hits him right here.
On the sternum, yeah.
And he always has it to where if he has a really technical part, he can, on the inside of his leg, he can have it up.
That's a cool way to do it too.
I really like that.
I think it's going to be dependent on just your playing style, what kind of guitar you have.
Yep.
I mean, just also, you don't want it to lean too much. And I find when I get my guitar up higher, it tends to do that.
And if you have a belly, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
right.
That's one thing to think about too, for sure. But a strap can help if you do have a belly, because if your guitar's out here, brings it up into a nicer position. Sorry, I keep clicking and clacking my buttons on my guitar, so excuse that,
That's
guys.
the name of my parents' chickens. Click and clack. Really? Dead serious.
Wow, that's funny. I keep trying to hold the pick with my index finger only, bracing with the middle, but end up back with both fingers on it.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked a little bit about picking technique once before, but I really like to do this, so you hold it between those, and then you use this as your adjuster, right? So that if it starts to slip and slide, then you can kind of back.
Yeah. Taylor, I don't know if you can, this is a good shot, but if I'm playing acoustic, just because there's more tension on the strings, it takes me a little more control. So if I'm doing a lot of strumming, I will absolutely hold 1 and 2 right there.
Yeah.
And like Andrew said, I do that more of the index finger and thumb and adjust with this finger or brace if I'm playing electric.
Yeah,
so
that works too. That works too. If you're into hybrid picking at all, which we'll be doing a live lesson coming up on hybrid picking, but then you are stuck without using this finger. So just find what works for you. It's not a big deal. Everyone has. You ever seen Tosin Abasi's thumb? It's like it's turned like that way. And he does a weird thing, and he's incredible. So just find what's the most
He picks
comfortable
upward,
for you.
like Sean Lane.
Yeah, exactly. This is I like this. This
Yeah,
is
it's
a
a
good
great
beefy question.
We could do a whole series on this.
So he was talking. Okay, benefits or limitations on picking like that, which we answered. Oh, go ahead.
Let me expound on that a little bit. I think there are benefits and detriments to that, but because I use both, I use picking like this,
Yeah.
slide it upward, and I slide it downward too.
Yeah.
Some things are better. Some things are better, like alternate picking, better slide it downward. It just depends. So I would experiment with both. Just experiment with everything and find out what works for you. Settle on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is actually a good part to the question. His foot and ankle get sore from like trying to keep the beat. When he's
really?
playing. Yeah. That hurt.
Maybe if your foot and ankle get sore from trying to keep the beat, you might be doing it too much. Maybe just lighten up. Or just nod your head. As long as you keep some part of your body moving, I think that's the important thing, to start training yourself to stay on the beat.
In a lot of cases, like you're just trying to keep the tempo internally.
Yeah.
You don't have to do something external.
I don't tap my foot. I probably nod my head more than I tap my foot in general.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I always find it's easier instead of tapping your toe, tap your heel.
There you go.
It's a little
That
bit
might
easier.
help. Yeah, avoid that shin cramp.
I was walking around Seattle on the weekend.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, my shins hurt, so I just did that. I was like,
Like,
oh, I gotta do more athletic stuff. Okay,
Sports.
do people switch things up sometimes, changing feet or maybe going from ball to heel? Okay, so perfect. Just change the strings and have the guitar setup done for the first time since new, so 8 months it's been. I can feel and hear the difference in both. How often should I expect to change strings and have a new setup? And you're practicing 3 hours per day. Awesome.
That's great, man.
Awesome.
It's different for everybody as far as changing your strings depending on where you live, as far as your climate, and then how much you play, what your body chemistry is like, how much you wash your hands before and after. Well, I guess before you play. I can wash my hands before I play and play for an hour, and my strings will be like tarnished and like noticeably bad. My best friend, he could do the same thing, and they'll be just perfectly shining like they're brand new.
Yeah.
So just go by the way they feel and sound. If they sound thuddy and not bright, change them. If they feel kind of rusty and sticky, either clean them, they make string cleaner, or change them. And for most people, it's once a month as a general guideline. It might be 2 weeks, it might be every month and a half, but that's a good kind of rule of thumb.
Yeah, I would just say the biggest thing is pay attention to your body chemistry, because I think you might even be worse than me. We were talking, right? You're with your body chemistry. I change my strings every gig, or every time that I come play here, just because I sweat a lot. And as soon as that it starts to break down at all, the string, and I notice anything, then for me it's time to change. If you get something like coated strings, like elixirs or something like that,
doubles.
It doubles
for me.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to put it. They say, I think they say it's 3 times longer, but I would say it's about 2 times longer. You could do that too. You make different sacrifices going to coated strings. They do sound a little bit different. Some people like it, some people don't. I use coated strings on my acoustics, and I don't think you do, right?
Sometimes I do. It
sometimes?
depends
Okay.
on my situation. Right?
Okay.
If I play the same guitar for a week,
Yeah.
the strings are done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you play behind your backs? If so, please do it. I can do it. Nate, you do it. I don't know if I can do it, actually.
I can try.
This is going to be a nightmare.
I've never done this before.
Drop it.
That was way better than I thought it would be. It's funny because like as soon as I did it, I could still see the fretboard in my.
That was
head.
good. I'm
That
going
was
to try,
weird.
but
That's
I'm
really
playing
weird.
acoustic. It might not work. There's no
You want
excuses,
this?
though. No.
Okay. Don't drop it.
Hopefully you can hear this, because, yeah, could you imagine? That's not bad.
You even hit a chord in there.
Yeah,
That's
not
great.
bad. I can't really like move my hand, but I hope you're satisfied.
I'm not playing with my teeth. It hurts. Actually, I've never done that. I've never done that
I've
either.
tried that before. It's so bad for your teeth. You're
Yeah,
not supposed to ever do it.
I was at a Joe Satriani camp, and he's like, Time's coming to put the old Joe to bed. I just gotta stop doing some of the stuff I've been doing. I mean, the enamel on my teeth is leaving, so it's time to stop.
Like, could you imagine if Nate just tried to do with his teeth right now and just his tooth broke, came flying out?
See you guys, going to
That'd
the
be bad.
dentist.
That'd be bad. So don't recommend that.
That was fun.
That was fun. Thank you for that. That was good. Next question from Colderman. What's the best way to learn the notes on the guitar? Fitting with what we were talking about.
I would start with just one string, because if you try to do it all at the same time, it's going to be really overwhelming. Going to be like, this is never going to happen. It's great. So start with one string, maybe the high E string, and just work on the natural notes on that string. If you need to print out, we have resources for you on Guitareo.com. If you need to see like a printout of the fretboard, and just do the natural notes. So E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Just work on the natural notes. And then once you can do that ascending, maybe after 2, 3, 4 days a week, do descending as well. E, D, C, B, A, G, F. And then once you're feeling comfortable with the natural notes, start putting in the sharp and flat notes. So E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, E. And do the same thing. Just spend, if it takes a month for just the high E string, that's totally fine. You're still making progress. And then once you get that first one down and you get to working on saying the musical alphabet forwards and backwards, move to the B string or any other string you want. And you're going to notice that one's going to fall a little bit quicker. It's going to be a little bit easier. But 100% consistency is the most important thing with that, even if it's only 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, I agree. And always, I like to make sure that my fret markers at like 3, 5, 7, 9, and 12, they're always there to just make sure that I'm in position. So it's always relative to that on the string. So I like to pay attention to that.
And as soon as you memorize your high E string or low E string, you got the high one memorized too, because
Yeah.
they're the same, and you only got 4 left.
Yeah.
So, good.
Yeah. Lots of good methods. We've been talking about this stuff lots in the forums, so make sure you check out some of those forum posts.
I've been using, when Jacob Weens came out, the thing where he did like, okay, pick a key of C, E, F, G, A, 4 notes on the E string, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B,
That's good.
C, D, E, F. Just doing a scale. There's all sorts of things you can do to confuse your brain. Going across, like this is really good. F, B flat, E flat, G sharp, C, F. Back down, just doing one fret.
Yep. Or you can be like me and not know a lot of them and just use octave centers and just pretend you're slow. This is Tom's Vet.
Hey, Tom.
Which one of you is going to play A Million Brazilian Civilians for us?
You know what? I wouldn't mind learning it, but I have so many other priorities right now, and it would never be as good as Don anyway. So I'll just do a rerun of last week's Fretboard Chronicles for you. How's that?
Yeah. We'll Nate can mime it and we'll just play the recording in the background.
It'd be like a bad kung fu movie, 100%.
The overdubs. Yeah. He also said he bought it and Don is crazy good. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, man. Good.
Awesome. I love that stuff. So good. I could never play it. I think it's like so far away from me. He's using a thumb pick and nails. It's like I would just have to learn a whole new guitar technique.
I just finished recording something last month that's in kind of that vein. It's more like Brazilian classical stuff, but it won't be divulged until next year.
You should call it A Billion Brazilian Civilians.
What up? More questions?
We got a couple more here.
Cool. Excellent.
This one is from Joe Snow. Any hints on memorizing a song? That's a great question.
Yeah. We can just do a tennis match here, give tips until we run out.
Okay.
I'd say just listen to it a lot. In your car, wherever, as you're walking, before you even sit down to learn it or chart it out or anything.
I would say chunk it out, and even more so than just like verse, chorus. Like you can break it down even further than that, like down into measure. And you don't have to get the actual sheet music, but just break everything down into very small bite-sized chunks and work on them like that.
Yeah, write out the individual parts. That always helps create another way to memorize it or to retain it.
Now I got to think.
Work on it multiple times a day if you can. Like when I'm in a situation where I'm learning 40 tunes for a cover band, I will at least listen to it in the morning and then maybe work on it in the evening. Or if I'm really pressed for time, I'll come home right after work, go through the songs, do all my other stuff I need to do, and right before bed I'll go through them again.
One thing that works really well, and it makes it easier because I did a lot of church gigs, which was memorizing songs and changing keys and stuff, was kind of having a cheat sheet that would work for every song. So it was like bar chords and one pentatonic shape. And it was like back then for me, it was like with those bar chords and the one pentatonic shape, I could definitely get through anything I needed to. And then if I had the time, then I would go into the other stuff. So memorizing, I wasn't memorizing like new shapes, I was just memorizing the order. And that's all I was doing.
Like a long-term goal for that is you're training your ear and you're learning the natural number system so where you can hear, oh, okay, this song is in the key of G, and it just went to a 4-chord of C.
Yeah.
But you can hear it in your ear and just like make it through the song, right? Apart from learning specific parts.
Yeah. So maybe a good thing to incorporate would just be some ear training.
Yep.
Start working on that. It does help. Like I know you're probably the same as me. If you hear a song on the radio, by the time the song's done, you can figure out basically everything, unless it's like a crazy technical
That's
solo,
just
right?
jazz.
Yeah, or jazz. But if it's contemporary, we could probably end up doing like a whole thing on that, hey?
I think T wanted to do a lesson on learning songs by ear or playing by ear.
That would be good. That would be good. Next question here. This is from Kurt K. Do you think it's better to focus on learning one song until you feel you're good at it, or try to learn a couple songs at the same time?
If you're doing this like just to get better at guitar, I would probably, personally, this is what it is. I'd probably have things, more than one going at the same time, just so you can kind of alternate if you get, I don't want to say bored, but if you're like a little frustrated or you just need to change, you know? But I would say never more than like 4 things.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say this goes back to what I was saying about getting too many things kind of going at once.
Yeah.
Don't get too many distractions.
Unless you got to learn 40 songs for covers.
And it happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
It does, it does. Okay, we've got one last question in here, unless another one comes in by the time we're done answering it. This is from Jams. What would you recommend to be a good practice routine to help me build speed and accuracy? So I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, Jams was doing a fair amount of like blues stuff.
Okay.
Like blues lead stuff.
Take a few weeks and practice extremely slowly. Number one, I mean slow, like. I mean really slowly. And slowly to where you can think about every single motion that your muscles are doing, and this is going to bring up some problem areas, problem most likely, that you're going to be able to solve when you're going that slow. I want you to email me because I need to know a little bit more specific things to like put you on a specific regimen. I could talk about this for like 30 minutes. But just email me, Nate@Guitareo.com, and we'll get you something specific ironed out for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because there are things like playing to a metronome and a lot of things like that. But I've always found like being able to play super, super clean, very slow, and be able to just play it perfectly and get that motion so that you're not flying way away and working on those kind of things. And then slowly over time building that up.
There does come a time when you need to actually work on speeding up, though, and I have that little metronome app for Mac. It's just called Metronome, and it's called a speed increaser or speed accelerator, something like that. So you can set every 10 bars, it increases by 5 beats per minute.
Oh,
I use
that's
that too.
cool.
It's really cool. So once you've done your slow practice, put in the time and do the calisthenics and get that, the aerobics in there and burn it out. And once you reach, whatever your maximum speed is, 130 to where it's clean, push it to 140, 150, 160. Even if it's sloppy, and just go, and then move it back down to where your maximum speed was, like 140 or 130 or whatever it was. It'll probably feel easier.
That's
But
cool.
you have to be really consistent, very deliberate when you're working on that stuff. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I've gotten a lot better because of Troy Grady. Check out his stuff.
Great
Cracking
YouTube
the
channel.
Code. Yeah.
Great YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it? That is it for questions.
Okay.
Okay. So shall we then play out.
Sure.
Okay, you're gonna have to start this one off. Nate's doing some new weird chords.
Well, yeah, it's a little thing that came up because I've been working on different chords the past couple weeks.
I like it. It's fun. Guys, thank you for coming out, and we will see you next week.
Bye.